see, one of the things that I'm learning is this, especially as a young investor. The reason why we make mistakes is because sometimes we get so desperate and sometimes we need financial assistance that in our process of investing, we end up using the money that we used initially to invest, and we take out the profits or loss because we are desperate, and we take out the initial amount of money that we placed in, then we spend it. And for an investor, a $1 million rand investor mentality, you need to be able to control that, because you will get desperate at times. You will need a car, you would get into an accident and you would need a car, you would need to start a business, you would need some things that you need to buy, to get married, and some of people they're investing so that they can be able to afford getting married and so forth. But when it comes to investing, if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be able to reach the goals that you want to be able to reach, if you want to be able to have financial independence and be able to have money coming in when you are at your lowest or when you have retired, if you want to have that retirement fund, but then at the same time you have a lot of money coming in that you won't need to use your retirement fund. So when you look into issues like especially the initial money that you've placed in, say for instance you have placed in 5 grand a month, so your 5 grand, that 5,000 rand, that is your initial investment, that is your initial money. Okay, so we call that a principal. So you never touch your principal. That is your initial money. So for the next 20 years you were investing 5,000 rand, so it amounted to 1.2 million in 20 years. So that is your principal. So you don't ever, no matter how desperate you are, you never ever spend your principal. So what does your principal look like when you're beginning? Your principal would be the money that you have and that you want to invest each and every month. For instance, if I'm intending to invest 5,000 rand for the next 20 years so that I can be able to retire comfortably, if I am willing to invest 250 every month so that I can be able to for the next 20 years, so that I can be able to have a bit of money chucked away on the side. If I want to invest 150 rand, that money, that 50 rand, that 100 rand that you are willing to invest every month, that 5,000 rand, that 250 rand that you are willing to invest every month, that is your principal. Okay, that is your principal. So how does it also work? See, when you have your principal, you will get dividends from your principal, from a place where you have invested. Say you have invested in Absa, and you have invested, since you have invested in Absa, Absa pays you dividends, right? So when it gives you dividends, you make sure that you spend your profits. So that dividend is your profit. So you spend your profit, right? You don't spend the principal, the amount of money that you placed in the beginning. So basically, the amount of money that you placed in the beginning, consider it lost, consider it gone, because you are thinking in terms of wanting to grow financially. You are thinking in terms of wanting to multiply your money. You are thinking in terms of getting dividends and profits so that you can be able to stay at home and retire early. That's what you're thinking in your mind, especially when you are in your 20s. You're thinking to yourself, I don't want to work when I'm 35. So that means that I have to make sure that by 34 I'm done working, right? I'm done working, so I'm at home, I'm not working, I am fully dependent on the royalties that I get, right? So I focus on that. I focus on the royalties, getting those dividends. So now in order for me to be able to get there, I need to be able to invest this principal that I have. So my principal will be, let's say I can afford 3,000 rand, 5,000 rand, and I'm young. If you are in your 20s, I would encourage you to invest at least 80% of your income, because you don't need to go and live in an apartment unless you have issues, maybe at home or whatever. But you won't need to live in an apartment. You won't need the car. You know, you won't need to please your girlfriend and buy her fancy things. No, you wait for those things. So you spend 80% of your salary in investing for the next 10 years. So that means that the guys who are going to invest in their 30s to 40s or 50, who are going to invest 5 grand a month, they would be now, for them it's late, because they have a lot that is happening in their finances. So they are risking a lot so far by making sure that they are investing 5,000 rand a month. So you are, as a young person, you are in your 20s, you are able to reach the goals that they are going to reach in 20 years, in 10 years. So now that's what you're thinking. That's where your mind is. That's where your plans are in terms of investing, so that you can be able to start living, to retire early and start living from your dividends. So fine, don't touch your principal. The main thing for today is don't touch your principal. Your principal is the main amount of money that you have invested. The only thing that you can touch is your profits from your dividends. Since we want to be able to retire well, from the time you start investing until the time you retire, I would encourage you to actually reinvest. Don't touch your principal. Don't touch your profits. You just let it, you just let your money reinvest itself, in the things that you want to invest in. If it comes straight to your account, then you can send it to your your Easy Equities and invest, or send it to your financial advisor, or talk to them so that they can be able to reinvest that money that you're making for the next couple of years, so that you can be able to make more money. So in 20 years, if you invest in 5,000 rand, you would get 1.2 million. So if you are reinvesting the money, you're making sure that you're reinvesting the money that you get, the profits, the dividends that you get. That means that you will be able to make more than that. Maybe you'd go towards 1.5 to 2 million. You'll never know. You'll never know how the economy will work out in your good, or things will not go well. But the main important thing is never touching your principal. Never touching the principal amount. Guys, in order for you to become a $1 million rand investor, you need to be able to, allow these risks to take place. It's gonna be risky for you to invest 5,000 rand. It's gonna be risky for you to invest 80% of your salary when you are in your 20s, because you don't need so many things that you're spending money on. It's gonna be risky for you to invest 5,000 rand when you have loans, you have debts, you have children, you have a husband, you have a wife, you have so forth. It's gonna be risky. But in order for you to live comfortably in your retirement, you have to think in that regard, that hey, I'm going to not touch my principal, and I'm going to reinvest the money that I'm making, so that I can make more in the next couple of years, and so that I can be able to be comfortable. My plan, and I'm not even closer to reaching my goals yet, but my plan is to be able to retire basically by 40 or 45, so that I can stay at home and so forth. So I use these small things like Bolt, Takealot, and YouTube and so forth, so that I can be able to make small chunks of money and reinvest that money while also taking care of my family, so that by the age of 40, if I'm at least at R1 million, then I know that I can be able to either reinvest some of my assets in terms of stocks and ETFs, and make money from other assets or stocks or ETFs, so that I can be able to live comfortably. But the main aim is to be able to retire by that age, so that we don't stress about money and stress about so many things that we are going through in our economy. So guys, that's where your mind should be. Today, I want to be able to teach you, if there's one thing that you take away, I want to be able to teach you the R1 million mentality investor. If you want to be an investor who has R1 million in your pocket, in your investments, and you are living from them, and you are getting at least 20 grand a month or plus, then you are okay. You are okay. Believe me, if you're an investor and you are getting 20 to 50,000 rand from your investments, you are doing well. And that is our aim, so that we can retire well. So guys, if there's one thing that you take from today, is that do not touch your principle. Do not touch your principle. Do not touch the principle. It doesn't matter how desperate you are or the kinds of circumstances you go through, but sometimes you get kicked out and so forth, blah blah blah. But then if you have an option B, if you are kicked out from your apartment, then you can go home, if that's your option B, if you have option B. But if you don't have option B, then that's where you start talking to banks, so that they can be able to help you in getting property and so forth, or renting another space. But the main thing is do not touch your principle.